Makeup.
Yep, for a
Right, you can.
podcast.
Right, no, you can start it now.
That's staying in. It's in a stream.
No.
Checking the nose for chips.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the R&D podcast. Introduce yourself, fellas.
I am
Orphan.
Tiny Testicles, and I have got a rant about the calendar. Actually, no, we've all got a rant about the calendar, because we've definitely prepared for this greatly.
And I am Scottish, the most critically acclaimed driver there ever was. And that's not self-proclaimed.
That's
Latifi
in
made
pen
me
and
that.
ink, that.
That is in pen and ink, indeed.
Right, so as the Tiny Testicle Man said, we've got a rant about the Formula 1 calendar. And I mentioned it
my name
briefly in the last thing, where we were talking about, well, I basically went off on one and said how many shit tracks there are on the calendar. And there are so many great ones that aren't on the calendar right now.
Well,
And
we
what we
fixed it.
did, we all individually went off and made our own season calendars. So, we're going to go race by race. I'd just like to preface this by saying that those two did 22 races. I only did 21.
Because he doesn't have the budget.
No, it's just, I just felt like 21 was a good number to go for.
Yeah.
Jesus, someone is heavily breathing
Sorry.
down.
That wasn't breath, that was me, locking my dog in.
Oh, okay, right. So, we'll go through track by track, but we've got to start with the test tracks.
Okay.
Finn, what did you put down for your test tracks?
I put Spain. You know, like I say old seasons. It was actually prior to 2021. But I chose it just because it is just probably the best track to do it for testing, because it's got so many. Well, it's not got so many. It's got a mix of all the corners, and plus it's easy because all the teams are in Europe nowadays. So yeah.
That makes sense. I'm assuming you did the same, Brad, or did you mix it up a little bit?
No, I mixed up. I happened to go with two tracks. I did question this yesterday, and it was allowed. So, the first track I've done was Brazil, and that was because it has got
That is interesting.
the best medium to low speed corners, and has got a long straight included. Okay, so thus meaning the slower speed part of the car. And then I've decided to go on the back foot of that and go with Monza. The complete opposite, so where you get both sides of your car. High speed, top speed, and low
With
speed
downforce.
corners. Yes.
The only problem is that if
Right.
the F1 teams are spending a week in Brazil, then they will probably all get mugged at some point.
Yeah, the favelas will arise.
I went, and I specified, I went with the first, I did two. I went with Spain, because for the same reasoning as you, I think, Finn. Difference in corners. I mean, it's used primarily as a test track anyway. I think it's decent, nice flowing corners, a mix. It's quite handy. There's something else I need to mention as well, but that will come later. And then the second track is Bahrain, and it's only a short mini test. And I know they race there in the season anyway, like they do with Spain, but Bahrain has a great mix between low speed, medium and high speed corners. Like the middle sector sort of flowing, those left and rights, and we've got a couple of the sharp hairpins, low speed, and we've got the high speed corners going through kind of the final sector.
Yeah.
It's nice and it's traditional, and it tends to be a good race there regardless of whether there's testing there or not. So I went with Bahrain. I'll mention the last thing when we get maybe another 10-15 minutes into this. So heading to the first race, who would like to go first? Let's say what they've got for
Sure.
round one.
Ow! So I'm being attacked by a dog. I've gone with Bahrain.
Ooh.
That is my first initial race.
I went with Australia, bringing it back to tradition.
I too have gone for Australia. Psych! Ha! I went
You
with
got
Australia
me.
Oh,
because
I am got.
I went with it. I was conflicted because originally it wasn't going to be on my calendar at all. But we
Yeah.
kind of need a race in the continent, and I was gonna feel bad if that continent wasn't gonna have a race, and because it's already there, we've got the facilities. I mean, there's a nice party atmosphere. Be a good race to start the season at, and we started there loads of times. And I mean, it's not the best race or the best track to go to for
Even though it
racing.
is the best
but,
race this year so far.
Yeah, yes, at the moment. Although the sprint race, it doesn't count, but the sprint race at Austria slapped. But we'll get to that shortly. But yeah, Australia.
Will we?
I went with for the opening round. Yes, we will.
Ooh. Interesting.
Why did you go with Bahrain, Brad?
Personally, I feel that Australia's a good track, don't get me wrong. But I just feel that Bahrain is more of a... It's very even of a track. Sorry, this dog is going ape it's on me. I'm trying to talk and he's trying to take my arm off. Fuck off! So, the reason why I went with Bahrain is because I feel like Bahrain has kind of grown on me as a starting track a lot more. And I feel like it's got a very even, kind of like Spain. It gives you a teaser into how the season's going to go because of how much of an even track it is. It's got low speed, it's got medium, it's got high speed, it's got 2 long straights, 2 long DRSs. It's got all that. So it's kind of like a jam-packed teaser. And that's what I think
Yes.
will lure people in and make the race interesting.
Also, can I
Nice.
just jump in quickly before you do?
Oh,
Imagine
yeah,
if
sure.
we had 2023 Australia as the first race of the season.
That would have been crazy. And then you would have gotten to my round 2, which is Bahrain, which was arguably it was really just meh, to be honest, wasn't it? I mean, apart from Alonso slapping up the Mercedes and Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc pulling his engine out of the race and the Red Bulls flying off into the distance. It wasn't amazing, but the track it usually produces good. I mean, look at 2022, 2021.
Yeah.
Like, they have some great races there, and it was originally my season opener because there's also something cool about it being held under the lights, the fireworks going off to properly start a season. It is pretty cool. But I've put it second in favour of Australia starting the season. That's why
I also went
Bahrain
with
is my
Bahrain.
round 2. Okay.
Bahrain is my
nice.
round 2.
Ooh.
Mainly just because of like familiarity again, that it was the second race of the season after Malaysia left. After Malaysia and China left, it kind of was supposed to just be the second race of the season,
Yes.
or every season.
I have gone with Malaysia.
Oh,
Ooh, sauce.
Yes. I thoroughly enjoy Malaysia, and I think that it would be a very good second starting race. Yet again, the complete opposite, top speed. Majority of it, of course. But
It's a beautiful track. I love it.
Yes.
Why is it not on the calendar? Please, just
because of money.
because of Petronas.
And the fact that
Well-
no one in Malaysia watches Formula One.
Pretty much at this point, I think the sort of stuff we've got down is to be expected. I feel like in the next 3 or 4, this is where it's going to get thrown off course a little bit.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
mine's
yeah.
going to get thrown off course. Hold on, I need to get my list up.
Well,
We've been doing
from
this off
round
memory
4
so
onwards,
far.
it gets interesting. Round
Oh, let me
3.
scroll back up. Round
You will
3.
start this one, Finn.
Yeah, I went for Portimao.
Ooh.
Ooh. Mainly just because it's underrated track, and I think it probably does deserve a race. I mean, 2020 was pretty good. 2021 was a little bit worse, but 2020 was pretty good. And then, plus the history in Portugal, I think they probably do deserve a race.
Mm.
Yeah.
Just not
That makes
Estoril
sense.
because that track's been ruined now.
I went with Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
On the actual calendar, so far all I've done is move Australia first. So I've gone from Bahrain to Saudi. I mean, geographically it makes sense. It's literally a short jump. These races would happen literally back to back as a double header. it's one of the best street circuits that has ever really been a part of the Formula One calendar. Like it's incredible, really. It's fast, it's flowing. Like it's when it's held under the lights, it's cool. The different colours are having the green curbs, the green and white. I mean, it looks cool, and especially when you play it on the game, it's so fun. And
He does actually
all the
deliver
races there
on the
so
racing.
far, yeah, all the racing in real life so far, it has been great. 2021 was absolute carnage and chaos, but also some great battles. 2022, lovely wheel-to-wheel stuff, and I mean, this year's one, it wasn't amazing, but it was still quite decent to watch. There were still some good wheel-to-wheel battles, so I think Jeddah's a solid race to go towards the start of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, again. Never change. I have gone with the European Grand Prix.
The European Grand Prix.
Yes.
This is interesting. Where is this held?
Yes, Spain. Valencia to be exact.
Valencia?
And yes.
Ooh.
Brad, are you paying
Yes,
for the
that
renovation
is-
yourself?
No.
Because I don't know if you've seen the track, what state it's
Yeah,
in at
the
the
track
moment.
is in ruins.
No. We'll be alright.
Wait, which Valencia are you talking about? Are you talking about the street circuit?
Yes. That's
Okay.
Yeah,
Like the actual one that they held in F1.
Alonso won.
The only reason that
Yes, he
race,
did.
that track is remembered is because of that race.
Yes.
Because it was the only good one.
But I thought it was a good track to do, and that was one of them I would be intrigued to watch again with these new cars. Sorry, I'm still trying to fight this dog off. It's very fucking
I
hard.
never could hear.
It's so difficult because he's trying to like.
I think that might be one of the first tracks I'm a bit iffy with. I mean, I get the point. That really, like, it'd be interesting with the new cars, but I remember so many shit races there, man.
I mean, 2009.
2009
there was zero
and 2011. There were no on-track overtakes. Pit stop ones taken out of the equation. There were literally none. And then 2011 was literally dead. Like, it was I don't know. But 2012 made most things look pretty good.
Yeah,
So I get it.
that's my reason. Baby.
That makes sense. Why don't you kick us off with your fourth race as well?
Okay.
While you're at it.
Oh no. Oh, okay. This isn't the track I thought it was. Imola.
Yes! Yes!
Imola is a great track, yet again, kind of like Spain. It's got all the elements, very good track. Plus, weather permitted makes it interesting.
A bit too interesting this year, unfortunately. But
Yes,
the
sometimes
last two
it's a bit
races have
annoying.
been moderately wet and then followed up by a dry period at the end.
Yes, indeed.
I get that.
To be fair, 2021 is underrated as
It
like
was
a good
decent,
race. And 2022 had a chaotic qualifying session and a really good sprint race.
It was a solid sprint, in fairness.
Probably the first proper good one, I'd say. Because Brazil, it was close to it, but it was, that was mainly because of Hamilton. He kind of created the action in that sprint race, so.
I kind of enjoyed Verstappen trying his best to try and push Bottas into a mistake and all that stuff, and then Sainz holding off Perez for as long as he did, and then finishing third in front of him was great. Like, it was a great performance. And then just Hamilton just steamrolling the field in 24 laps to go up to 5th place. And
Anyway, we're getting off topic.
if they'd been, yeah, I know, yeah, we'll come back to that. We will come back to that. But it was incredible. What was your round 4, Finn?
It was Baku. And Jack has now left the chat. But I mean, I like Baku. I know Brad likes Baku, I think. Jack doesn't. He doesn't rate it as highly, but I mean,
I don't.
I think if the field is just closer, it can be a really good race because like 2018 was quite close because the field spread wasn't that big. 2021 I think it's a bit underrated, but it was a bit boring in the middle. But still, I think that was a pretty good race.
What track is this again?
Baku.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I think it's earned its place at the moment, more than some of the other tracks.
I would heavily disagree.
I too
That's-
would like to passionately disagree.
I don't
Spectacle.
think Azerbaijan has done as much as what you think it has. It's done some little
It's-
bit of drama, but that's all. No good racing.
Drama and spectacle.
No, it's had good racing. It's just
for
it's
one,
select
for one,
on its
for
years.
one of its years.
Mm.
Realistically,
You still, the thing is, you
2018
still
is
get
the only
overtakes
good
there,
race.
but the thing is, the DRS is a bit too powerful. Like they need to shorten it. But you know, it's not like you can't overtake there.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but it's just
but
there's just
bullshit.
no like there's skill involved to some extent, yes, but I
It's
don't
great
think...
over one lap. Like watching them qualify is great. Watching an actual Grand Prix
Yeah,
is
that's what I stand with.
painful.
We're playing Red Bull dominance.
It's not Red Bull dominance, mate.
It's just the track.
It's not. The track is just not good enough to provide just
Whoever's
the
got
racing.
a
Like,
tad bit
I'm sure
more
Azerbaijan is a fantastic
power.
country. Baku's a fantastic city. Looking at the track itself, like it doesn't look too bad, and over one lap it's fine. To drive it, it looks great. For a race, it's not good enough. It's just not.
You should have seen the
I'm
original
sorry.
design that they came up for it then.
Yeah, I know. Not good enough either. Nowhere near. I tell you, a design that is good for a race.
It's
It's
round
Istanbul's
5.
Park in Turkey. That is my round 4.
The what track?
Turkey at Istanbul Park.
Yeah, so Yemen.
It's a great track.
It is a good track. I did forget about the track, I will be honest.
Hmm.
But that is a
And
very good track.
I put it at the start of the season. It used to be in the first half of the season. Like sometimes it used to slot around the Canada Silverstone time, and then for its final year, it came up just before Spain. So, like, in terms of its timing of the year, the weather was mostly good. The last 2 Turkish Grand Prix have obviously been one because of COVID and replacements and stuff like that. It obviously came in the latter half of the year in like October, November time, and it was raining. 2020 is its own sort of weird thing, but the weather isn't usually great that time of year in a place like Turkey. So having it at that part of the year, and it's a good track. Like the first sector, you can have like all the way around the lap, you can have good battles. It's not like, I mean, you might do a few switchbacks through like turn 4 and 5. You got the beautiful turn 8. You got the run towards turn 12. It's an amazing track. It should be there, but it's a shame that it's not.
I did forget about the track, I can't lie.
It's so good. I love it.
I can eat a lot.
I didn't forget about it. I just don't think it's as good as some of the other Tilka tracks because I have included a few of them on here, but I don't think it's the very.
And yet
top.
you included Azerbaijan.
Yeah,
Over Turkey, you included Azerbaijan.
well,
I
if
would like to
you
point that out.
can hate upon Azerbaijan, then I'm allowed to hate upon Turkey. I'm not even hating upon it.
For what reason would you not have Turkey there?
It's just, I think it's a bit overrated because some of the corners are a bit
Yeah,
Yeah.
still provides better racing than than the shitbox.
Jack, do you remember when I said to you, I feel like Finn's calendar's gonna be a bit like different because he's gonna want to be like, I'm different. Azerbaijan's one of his tracks.
That's
I'm not being different. It's like it's on the calendar now.
In fairness, but you put in Valencia.
Yeah, you did put Valencia,
Yes,
and that's worse
but-
than Baku.
No,
Yes,
it's
it
not.
is. Yes, it
no,
is.
it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It had one good
Cars
race.
nowadays at Valencia.
Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to agree with you.
It had
No.
one good race. Baku's had 1.5 good races. You can't. It's so lie.
What do you mean half?
2021 first like 10 laps and the last 10 laps were good.
What, because of punctures?
Yeah,
That could be like any other track. That doesn't make that track special.
That means that Silverstone's had
I've-
like 50,000 great races.
Exactly.
Punctures.
That's my point. You can't just base a good track off of because tires were shit. That doesn't count.
Yeah, but it did make it more interesting.
I'm not
yeah,
saying.
but any other track could. That's why I've been saying this whole time that they should reduce the amount that tyres can go to make for more interesting racing. That's why we must get free
I'm
pit
gonna be
stops
real.
and not pit stops, punctures.
I'm gonna be real. Both of those tracks are terrible, but the fact that we're having a debate over which one is better is crazy. At this
And
point.
also
Which is
the
better
indication
between
to
a
move
race
on.
that had one good race and 1.1% of a
I'd
good
like
race.
to say I'm not defending Valencia. I'm just curious to
But
see
you
how
are.
the tracks have been now. But no. I'm defending the fact that Azerbaijan is shit. That's what I'm defending, and it's not
It is.
worth the calendar. And that's why I'm saying
It is
that
shit.
the half that you're saying is completely invalid. That's my perspective. But yeah.
It is rubbish. Right, so round 5. Hopefully something a little more interesting here.
Yes.
I'll go first.
Mine is fantastic, and you guys won't have
Mine-
thought of it.
Mine is Kailami in South Africa.
Oh,
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
from obviously Bahrain and Saudi and Turkey, I tried to keep it relatively close to each other. From Turkey to South Africa, I know it's a bit of a trek. Might take you a few months to walk there, but you know. The point is, South Africa, I think it needs to be back on the calendar. We need an African Grand Prix for fuck's sake.
Mhm.
And it'd just be nice to sit back on the calendar after having so many years off. And it looks
Yeah.
cool. It looks great. I can't wait to see it. If it comes back.
it's got some
It
great
should
corner
come back.
names, as Brad would know.
Ingwe.
Ingwe. Yes.
What about you guys?
Finn?
I think Brad
Right.
first. I think
Well-
Brad first. We say
Okay.
Finn's. I think that would be the.
Also, you will quickly find out that mine does not care
Okay.
about travel.
Okay.
It goes where it wants.
So,
Great.
my one, I'm basing off of the fact that we're allowing certain things to be changed on the track.
Okay.
Yeah, you can have an upgraded circuit from grade 2 to
Brands
grade
Hatch.
1 moderate. Well,
When is this taking place? This is round 5. How early
No,
in the season
so-
is this? This is in
yes,
April.
Yes.
this is
This is
in
in
April.
Okay. Now, if they just increase the track size, just increase it by another, what we're saying, 2-3 meters, it would make things interesting. Of course,
A
not
40-second lap
grandstands.
time.
That's the point. Let's
Yeah, but
make
Jack-
it fucking
Jack, it's-
102 laps.
I will actually
Let's
side
do
with
it.
Brad on this because it's something different. If it's a
It
super
is.
short lap,
It'll
it's
be like
something
Sakia.
different,
It'll be like Sakia Outer, but more
but shorter.
bendy
Yes.
and shorter.
Bendy.
A lot closer
less
people.
spectators.
Qualifying will be intense because, do you know, like people get in the way and stuff now? Imagine that at Brands Hatch. Then not only that, imagine Max blue flagging past everyone and there might be an issue. It would make for some good action.
That's the only reason he's put it on there, so you can see Max have a hard time winning.
I reckon it would just be a good aspect.
I can-
More laps,
in
quicker
fairness-
laps, intense racing, close racing, everything's compact. I think that'd be great.
In fairness, it sounds more entertaining than Baku.
Booyakasha!
Okay.
What about yours? You said this is going to be a banger, and no debate. What is it?
Mine, well, this is replacing Miami, but it's in the same country.
fuck.
I've put it as Road America as round 5,
Oh,
which I believe it is a grade 2, so it doesn't need that much work doing to it. I think it just needs a few tech pros because some of the high-speed corners have concrete walls on the outside of them. But
Yeah, that
it's
could
like the
be
American
errors.
version of Monza, but it's actually got some nice corners. And this is sort of a bit like Turkey because it's got a Turkey turn 8 for the carousel. It's got kinks on the high-speed straights. It's got angular corners for overtaking. Like it's just great. And the only thing it needs is just safer barriers and a bit more track width. But all the braking zones and the overtaking places are already there, and there aren't too many consecutive corners.
Fed.
What?
Dude, I just want to put a span in the works. You know, you've been saying to me about Brands Hatch and the length of Brands Hatch and how the laps would be really short.
Yeah.
Road America is 1.1 miles long.
No, it's not.
That's what I've just looked up.
How long is? Oh, let me
The
Google it.
course was 1.1 miles.
I get the point he's making. It is a good. It is
Brad, you don't
good.
even know what Road America looks like, so
Yes,
How
I
long
do.
is-
I've just looked it up.
how
Dog.
long is Road America? Road America is. Hold on, let me find
Go
it.
on, say the same ones I just said 2 seconds ago. Go on.
Length 4.0 miles.
What do you mean?
I will now join this
Oh.
investigation.
6.5
Road-
kilometers. So it's half a kilometer shorter than Spa.
Why is that? Hold on.
What
What
one did
Road
you
America
get
have
up?
you found? Because I can tell you now, it's not Road America.
Look at
Road
the top
America.
line.
I'm gonna interject. Road America.
Oh, so it is 4 miles now that I can see it. But look at. I just read the top line.
4.048 miles.
Yes. Now, but look
6.5
at what I mean.
kilometers. 14
Look.
corners.
Look at the
What did you
Snapchat.
send? As we now
The
dive
top
onto
line. The
Snapchat.
course was 1.1 miles long.
Oh, the course
Yeah, it
was
was.
that long.
So yeah, but that could be like a go-kart track. Buckmore Park looks a lot more intricate than that. Like,
It's still more entertaining
I've-
than Baku.
exactly.
And Valencia.
Sorry, I can't take
And
it back. I
Valencia.
do apologise. I was just reading Wikipedia.
Yeah, because like,
I too also.
I
read
mean, I can
Wikipedia,
understand
so
why Brad was
4.0
thinking,
miles
why
long.
has he put this track on if it's only 1.1 miles long?
That's what I
such
mean.
a bad track for racing.
And I was gonna
But when you
say
realise
Brands
that
Hatch
it's-
is 1.2.
But then when it's like when you realise that like when you realise it's 6.5 kilometers long,
Yeah.
those
okay, that's
straights
not-
are long.
Yeah.
But I
Now
think
you
it'd be
said
great.
that, it makes sense. Yeah.
A good shout. A good circuit.
That didn't even come onto my radar. So.
What about
It's
your
only
round
grade
6
2 as
then?
well, so we can beef up
Yeah.
safety.
Moderate up.
Round
upgrades.
6, I mean, it was obviously going to be here because it's, my opinion, the best track, and it's Imola.
Ooh.
The best track, he says. In his opinion.
Well,
So-
history, flow, probably not the racing, but apparently we're getting passes for Brands Hatch as being on the calendar, so I'm joking. I'm not digging at Brands Hatch.
no,
I think it's a
no,
great
definitely.
addition, honestly.
Yeah.
But it just I just love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, solid track. There's a decent choice. What about you, Brad? What do you go for? I'm so scared.
Fuji.
Fuji.
Yes. That is
Interesting.
my track. I thought the
What-
whole, with the weather and everything back in,
Yep.
I don't know what year it was, but that
Oh,
makes it intense.
08,
Plus, I did
7, 8.
look into the track layout, and it looks very cool. And I would have rather like a track there, especially with the new
You have
cars where
driven
they
it.
can
You
follow.
have actually driven the Fuji Speedway.
The
I
only
don't
thing,
think I have.
Oh, in Gran
In Gran
Turismo, you
Turismo.
definitely have.
Oh, have I? Okay.
Yes,
You
definitely.
definitely
Because
have.
we've all done it together.
and I just didn't remember that you
go-karts.
hated it, so I'm really confused as to why you've put it on your calendar. But
Yeah, just because I don't like racing, it doesn't mean I don't like watching people race it. Very different.
watching other people that have the struggle.
Yes, because I don't have to deal with the struggle myself. I can just laugh at people. Like Lance Stroll. Locking up.
But what about yours,
I-
Jack?
This is where I need to bring back my testing thing from earlier on. Do you remember that when brought up Spain?
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
No, of course not, because you're thick as pig shit. Anyway, for round 6, this is an alternating track. So every other season, you will get Spain. But on the other one, you would get Portugal. In Portimao specifically. The track's similar characteristics in terms of like its basic layout, but looking at the undulation and the way the track flows at Portimao, it is very different to Spain. So switching between the two every year would be quite entertaining. I don't think Spain, it produces some good races, but not all the time, and Portugal, again, it's sort of it's a toss-up on whether it gets a good race or not. So
All twice
I think
that we've been there.
yeah, I mean, it literally was a toss-up between a good race and a not-so-good race, but it was all right, I guess. But the point is, switching between the two and having the other one as the testing track is I mean, it's not the worst idea I've ever come up with. I mean, it's not the most ideal either, but I think for me, I think that would work relatively well. And it also means that going into the Spanish Grand Prix, whenever we do have it, for once they'll be lacking data, even though they've got tons of it anyway. Round 7.
But I appreciate the inclusion of Portugal because I quite like that.
Yeah, I kind of didn't want to not include it because I feel like Portugal do deserve a race. And I mean, Portugal has had a long history in Formula 1 anyway. But it's been a while since we've had a Portuguese driver. Would like to see one again.
Oh.
Round 7, I've kept it basic. Usually after Spain is Monaco. Usually. Not this season, but usually. And I think Monaco just seems like, regardless of whether you love it or hate it, it just has to be on there. It's one of the most iconic. I think the drivers love going there. Most of the drivers live there.
Exactly.
Because they're all tax evading assholes. But I mean, it's demanding, it's challenging. It's a spectacle to go watch. Now, this is going to be a similar sort of quote that you may have heard when I was speaking about Baku, but over one lap, it is absolutely remarkable. But the racing isn't always the best. What makes it a shoo-in, though, is that it can generally throw up some great races, whether that's due to the weather, people messing up their strategies, people absolutely nailing their strategies, just a difference in tyre performance, car issues. Like, if you remember 2018, when he lost his ERS. No, was it his ERS? Yeah, he lost
battery,
about 40. He lost about 40% of his power, and was holding off Vettel for so long. And then he was fine in the end anyway. And then you had the battle for the rest of the podium with Hamilton and Raikkonen and Bottas. Then the year later we had Hamilton on the wrong strategy, having to do 68 laps on a set of tyres that should only do 50, and it struggled to do 50 with Verstappen right behind him in a car more suited to the circuit. And at the time, Verstappen was more than hungry to win races because he wasn't in a dominant car back then. Every so often it will throw up a good race. Not the best, and I don't particularly like it. When I go there, I'm always like, oh, I mean, you know, it's Monaco sort of thing, but it has to be there.
I've also gone with Monaco because it's a weird one because it's one of those races where it works when there's a big field spread in like performance. Because if you have a shake-up in qualifying and someone does something spectacular, like in 2023 where we had cars that were massively out of position, like, I don't think 2023 was that bad, and we actually had a lot of overtakes for a Monaco race.
Quite enjoyed watching it with you guys as well, by the way.
I mean, I do think that made it better, but again, it is something different. And like Jack said, it does kind of have to be there for history purposes, even though that doesn't apply to some of the other tracks that I haven't included on this calendar, which we will get to. That is
very true. We'll get to that shortly. What about you, Brad?
I have an issue with Monaco. Okay.
Oh.
Is that it's like Valencia, but it's not Valencia, so I'm not including it.
No. So stop questioning Valencia. Alright, okay. This is different. I loved, by far, I would like to say, by far, qualifying at Monaco this year, the best I've ever watched. It was intense, it was clinical, it was just precision. That's what I loved about it. Now, I loved every bit of qualifying, but the race, if the weather never happened, the race would have been boring. There would not be contention with Max, there would have not been in contention with Alonso, Russell, Lewis, Ocon, Gasly, fucking anyone. That would have never have happened. The whole thing with Hulkenberg diving on the inside on Sargent, that would have never have happened. That's my point. And that's why I like to say, I would love to put it on there, but my issue is because of how clinical it is, it causes people to not create opportunities because of how tight it is. If it was a little bit wider, then that would be very different. but then it wouldn't be as clinical. So that's why it's not on my calendar. And also, I think yes, it's historic, but I don't think for the purpose of racing, creating good racing, which is the point is if you're quicker than someone, you're meant to be able to overtake them, but you can't on that track. That is my reason for not putting it in. Therefore, I have put another track that we have never raced at, but it is a circuit track, and it is Vietnam. We never got to race there, and I feel like with the length of the straights, the corners, which are some slow, some fast, like the final sector, I think that would make for some intense racing, seeing as it is quite wide.
Great, so what you've done is you put Baku on the calendar, but you've just put it in a different country.
No, I haven't. I've put Vietnam.
I
Different.
feel this is the thing. I was about to make a similar comment where what he's done is he's put a mix of Jeddah, which is a great street circuit, and Baku, which is not a great street
Yes.
circuit, blended into one.
Yes,
It's
that's why I
unfair that
haven't
we didn't
put
get a
Baku
race
there.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of sad that we didn't really get to see what it would have been like, because it might have been great.
Might
Like,
have.
but I get your point about it is relatively fairly wide for a street circuit until you get to like the final sector.
Yes,
But what
that's
can
my
you do?
point.
But it was actually it looked quite promising. And if you ever played the 2020 game, which if you haven't, you missed out because it was a fantastic game.
Yes.
It was quite fun to race there, especially if you were playing online, as long as you weren't being taken out. There were a few corners that I thought
every
were a
race.
bit weird, but obviously they were working around the environment. Like, do you remember the weird hairpin at the top where you sort of kink right and it was a long
Yeah.
hairpin at the top, and it was a while before you had to cut back in, and it sort of
Was that Sector 1?
yeah, it was where before it was the first straight before it then leads onto the massive long straight.
Yeah.
That one, and then there was obviously. I mean, the final sector was quite cool. The final sector really reminds me of a street circuit version of Cota's first sector, where it was just sort of the left, right. There was a long, I think it was a long left. No, long. Yeah, was it long left? Yeah, long left. Then some longer rights, and then it led through that. It was great.
I'm not sitting there saying this track is the perfect track to be on the calendar. My point is, it's a tad bit like Las Vegas and kind of Azerbaijan, kind of like Kota Sector 1 with the sway bits, but at the end of Vietnam, but then the straights and things. And I just think that it'd be an interesting Grand Prix, especially with all the straights. But the reason why I haven't put Azerbaijan on there is because Azerbaijan doesn't have a slip and slidey sector. You could say Sector 2 with, what they have going on there, but I don't think that's enough.
As I mentioned to Finn before, the reason why it becomes so annoying for me, it's very stop-start.
Yeah.
It's 90-degree corners after 90-degree corners, and in circuit format, that's not always terrible, but in street format, especially where it goes from quite wide through turn 1, 2, down the straight towards 3, as soon as you get through turn 3 and you're going towards 4 and that, then it starts to tighten up, and it's really just awkward stop and starts. And the middle sector is just like, you can't. I mean, not every sector is going to be amazing for racing, but it is just a massive, just sort of, it's so off-putting and annoying. It's incredibly frustrating. But I get your point about Vietnam. It actually makes a lot of sense, and it would have been interesting to see it there.
Exactly.
Yeah, the problem I have with Vietnam is that I don't think I would dislike it as much if it wasn't a street circuit, because it's not really a street circuit, because the only bits that are actually streets are just the big straights, which don't really make it feel like a street circuit, because the barriers on the edges of straights are close to the track anyway.
Hanoi is a massive place, and because it's always so busy, the roads are naturally there's so many lanes, so the straights are always quite wide anyway. So it kind of feels like Australia, where it's like, it's wide enough to be considered not a street circuit, but it is a street circuit.
Yeah, that's kind of why I don't like it as much, because it just seems like
I get that.
It's a street circuit, but it doesn't really feel like it needed to be a street circuit. You could have built that in Vietnam somewhere else, but make it like a permanent track.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And I just don't like. I just don't like having another street circuit again because like there's too
I
many.
would, I would also like to say, you guys have both got a lot more concept on tracks that haven't, or that have been raced but aren't on the calendar now compared to me. I would like to say that because you guys have been watching since fucking
I've been watching since
1972.
I've been watching since 2007.
Yeah, and Finn started getting
I've
into
gone
things
back
at
and
20.
watching.
You started
16.
getting during the same time as, was it 2016?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
He
then
just
you've
went back
started
and
watching
educated
back
himself.
to.
He watching all like
Yeah.
the 70s.
Yeah, I watch
and
old
all
I
stuff.
haven't. I started from 2019 properly. That is, so it's kind of like amateurs to pros kind of thing. I will say when it comes to track guards, but yeah.
Right. So round
Round
8.
8. Yes.
I did
What have you got?
the normal thing, which is after Monaco. I did Canada,
Ooh.
which I mean, I think it is. Yeah, I probably would say it's one of the classic tracks now. I mean, it's one of the newer classic tracks, but yeah.
I get
I mean,
that.
it's older than Suzuka, so I think it definitely does deserve its place. And you know, the races aren't amazing recently, but they're good enough, I think. And
Yeah.
for like qualifying again, having to get every single chicane right, which is like really hard because track limits are so important there.
Mm.
I think it is another good track to have.
I too have done the same thing and gone with Canada. I mean, it is just I consider it a classic track now. Like, it is just great. And I mean, yeah, the recent years races haven't always produced amazing like moments that are memorable, but it is solid enough to be a continual race on the calendar. Like, I mean, it's literally named after one of the most successful. Like, just having
Michael Schumacher.
yeah, Michael Schumacher. I mean, the Wall of Champions is just truly iconic. It's named after
Villeneuve.
Gilles Villeneuve now.
Yeah.
I mean,
The problem
it is
with Canada
creative.
is that it's a track that always benefits the fastest car at the time.
Yes,
Because
like
it's
in
such a good.
2018 and
It's a track that
17,
just lets the
like,
fastest car dominate easily.
yeah.
Because normally the
Although
fastest
what
car
is-
nowadays just has the fastest engine.
Yeah. What is interesting though is in the last few years with the new cars and whatnot, it's really highlighting how different it is compared to the other tracks because it is incredibly bumpy, which I never massively noticed before these new generation of cars where they're running much lower to the ground with the new planks and whatnot. They're properly bouncing over it, and the curbs are dangerous nowadays, as George Russell found out.
Skill issue.
Did Brad go with us, or did he go more creative?
So I went more creative, but I would like to say Canada is a great track.
But not as great
It
as.
it is on my calendar, but it is
Oh.
not.
Oh,
here.
Spoilers!
Now,
How dare you?
there's no real reason why I've put this way. I just want to get this track into the first season of the calendar. I've tried signifying them during what I want in the first section to then the fun, like the end of the spring break, and so I have put, because I haven't watched this race, I've put India.
Okay.
That was the track that I said to you guys about, and I think I'm just looking at the track layout, looking at the way it is, and the fact we've driven there before. I think India would be a good addition to the
that's
calendar.
actually a very nice. It's a nice choice. It only got 3 races, and they were all run by Vettel.
It was put in at the wrong time in Formula One because the competition was non-existent, really. Like even 2012
You
couldn't
cut out
save
there
it.
for a bit, but yeah.
But that
I mean-
again, that was just like difficult for those types of cars.
In terms of fights for the win, it really wasn't great at all. Really, Vettel just dominated. But like in terms of sometimes the podium battles were quite interesting. 2012 was, in terms of the fight for third, it was quite interesting, and then just mainly in the midfield, it was quite enjoyable to watch. And if you've ever seen a qualifying lap or just like watching the cars actually flow around that circuit, it is great.
Yeah.
It is generally a great circuit. It's a shame that it's not there anymore.
Okay,
What about your
well,
round 9?
I would like to start off with the round 9.
Mm-hmm.
Canada.
Okay.
Oh, I wonder why he's got that one there.
I do enjoy the track, and I do think it is, like Fid said, it is a battle between the best car, but I do think it is a kind of like Spain or something like Imola or like Bahrain. They kind of have to be there, not because they're particularly drastically special, but
Mm.
just the impact that they have on the calendar is quite
They're good
vast.
enough, easily. Yeah.
That's my point on Canada.
I'm gonna follow up, and the track I've got is the track we're currently at now in the Formula One calendar, and that's Austria.
Ooh.
I put Austria
Um,
as well.
I mean, there's not too much I really have to say, but I think since it came back, I think more often than not the races, even if they've not been the most entertaining, I think like the wheel-to-wheel racing and just like what it produces in terms of the like for the drivers specifically is quite good. I mean, it's short but it's fast. I mean, the first sector is, I mean, it's literally just high speed.
Flat out.
Second
Yeah.
sector, you're just involving. There's a few twists and turns. Literally, this track consists of only 10 corners, but all the corners have their own real challenges.
Meaning
Apart
and
from maybe
value.
turn 8, maybe with a little kink out of the double left-handers, doesn't really mean too much. And also, turn 2 is not really a corner. It's just part of the bit that leads into turn 3. But it's just a solid track, and I mean, it just needs to be there. I think solid.
Yeah, I don't have much to add on that. Just
There's
please
not really too much
change
to
the
add.
pit entry. Move it so you have to join it before turn 9. Because it is the worst pit lane on the calendar.
It is a very dangerous pit lane entry, in fairness. It is, yeah. That is one
But
thing.
apart from that great track.
Yeah, it is. It is a great track. It's the only problem I could probably dig at it.
Well, let's be fair. If we do change it so you have to join it before turn 9, then the pit lane will literally cut out 3 corners of the track. So it's like a third of the track will be done in the pit lane if you're on your in or out lap.
Oh dear. Right, round 10, and what leads into the second part of my triple header. So firstly we had Austria, and this will be followed up, as it will be in real life, by the British Grand Prix. Now, is it at Silverstone? Of course it's at Silverstone.
That's crazy to me.
Silverstone is
Right, did you know it's
one of
happening in
the...
real life?
What? No, no, not that. There's a reason for why I'm saying that, but I won't say
We'll
it
get
yet.
onto that in a minute, I'm
Yes, we
sure.
will.
Well, I'll go
But
before Brad.
Silverstone, I don't think there's too much to say about the track apart from the fact it's one of the very best on the calendar. I think iconic corners, the vast majority of the races there are at worst good. Like,
Yeah.
it's fantastic. I really don't have a lot to say about it. And also, it would feel very odd if a Formula One calendar did not have a British Grand Prix.
That is true.
And out of all the tracks in Britain, I feel like this is the absolute best one to go to in England, or in just Britain in general. Ben?
I also went with Silverstone as well.
Are you in your silver break? Are you in your spring break?
No, not yet. There's a few
Okay.
more races until that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you mean the summer break, right? Yeah. I'll tell
Yeah.
you when I get there.
But Silverstone, it's actually a fantastic track for racing, even though people say it's hard to overtake. But after the 2010 modifications, it actually is really good for racing now.
Even in years that aren't memorable, right? Like 2011, it was actually a good race. If you go back and watch the wheel-to-wheel combat, it was fairly entertaining between like the two Red Bulls, Hamilton and Massa until they were hitting each other. Like, there were a few stinky races. I get that, but it's so good. It has to be there.
To be fair, everything from 2012 onwards has actually kind of been alright, except
I
for
mean,
2017.
2020 wasn't great until the punches kicked in, to be honest. But then the 70th anniversary Grand Prix slapped. So, who knows?
Who knows?
What did Brad do? Because
I
he's
have
controversial.
gone with a track that is
A track. Wow.
Really?
interesting.
I
Yeah,
was thinking that.
I mean, it's a track. I could assure you that, and I've gone with Hungary. And I
Hungry
chose
now.
to do Hungary
Nice.
before one other track. The reason why is I do think Hungary is vital on a calendar. Yet again, it's not like it hasn't got all the top speed stuff, but I do think that even though it's got all them corners, it still produces really good racing,
Hmm.
and it still produces, you know, just a great differential between cars from Vietnam, which was just before that, and India that was just before that. So it does kind of create this weird dynamic.